everybody. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Welcome into Fresh Takes with Russo and Felice. I am Paul Russo, and along with me, as always, the man, the myth, legend himself, no longer a Pokemon master, as I just learned 2 seconds ago, quite literally, Nick Felice. Nick, how you doing? Happy Wednesday. It's been all of 3 days since I've really seen you since football Sunday, but now that we are through the football weekend, how you doing?
Yeah, well, I didn't feel like I needed to have a farewell tour of my Pokemon Go career, but,
R.I.P.
Yeah, feeling good. Had Chinese for lunch today.
Nice. We're from?
First Dragon in Waterloo.
Oh, good choice. Good choice.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Yeah, ready for my afternoon nap. But yeah, I'll talk some sports.
As happens every now and then. Yeah, so it was a chaotic football week collectively, is what I kind of took away from it. We'll get into obviously do the picks and how we are tracking this year. I have my sheet with me for the week. Obviously, we will unveil our records for the week so far through week one. Really great stuff, among other things, right? But obviously, it's going to be a football dominant episode, right? I mean, we're through the first week of the NFL season. We got plenty of storylines. So we'll get to all that here in just a moment. But first, we have to thank a couple. But first,
Julie Chen over there.
my girl, Julie Chen Moodvest. Thank a couple of our sponsors, including Generations Bank. Generations Bank has been serving the financial needs of the Finger Lakes region since 1870. Generations combines the best of modern banking with dedication to our local communities. Whether you are looking for a checking account, CD, home improvement loan, you name it, we have what you need. We are committed to serving and giving back to our communities. You can visit us online at mygenbank.com. Generations Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender. And Go Net Speed, the future of connection is here, and it's fiber made for how we live and work today. Go Net Speed Fiber is faster and stronger than anything out there. You can check availability in your area as well as plans and pricing at gonetspeed.com and get ready for fast and reliable fiber internet straight to your home. So let's jump on in here and begin with obviously the NFL Week 1. Come and gone, but it was a week of chaos for good and bad reasons, right? I think you couldn't have asked maybe kind of collectively for a better week 1 in terms of storylines, in terms of some of the games played, but also I guess some darker headlines in there. So let's begin, I think, collectively here, obviously, the Aaron Rodgers injury on Monday night, but it kind of was like a curse of Metlife Stadium almost, in a way, is how I've called it, because not to I guess start with your Giants in a way, Nick.
Are you starting a trend?
Unfortunately, maybe. They just, I don't know any way to really put it besides they got waxed. I mean, I don't think anybody was really expecting that outcome Sunday night, 40-0. And then you move forward, obviously, for the other New York or New Jersey fan base in the situation, I guess, with the Jets. And 5 minutes into Aaron Rodgers' career as a Jet, he's done for the year. Torn Achilles. Crazy collective 24 hours at MetLife for week 1 of the NFL.
Yeah, well, no one ever, in the NFL game, I guess, no one expects 40-0 ever.
Right.
But it almost feels like there was 2 games at MetLife this weekend.
Which were.
It seems like there was 2 games this weekend. But what I'm trying to say is there was 4 teams that came in, but it felt like 3 teams lost.
Correct.
And even though the Jets are 1-0, people, I mean, the Jets are undefeated right now. The Bills are the ones that lost that game. But to lose Aaron Rodgers like that, you say 5 minutes, what was it, 30 seconds to me?
I guess, right, gameplay, well, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy that he's just like, Dean felt like he was even with the Jets. That's how quick it was.
Right.
So, the Giants, I mean, they go first drive, get the ball to start, and they're right down near the end zone, and a bad snap turns into a field goal, which later turns into a block touchdown return by the Cowboys. So, I mean, they had their chances early on, but unfortunately they did get waxed, as you put it. I mean, it's just, you just got to forget about this game. I mean, you can't think about all the people saying that, the Giants were good in one-score games last year, had an easy schedule, played an easier playoff team in the Vikings. You know, you got to look at it as it was a successful season last year, and you got to build off of that. Even if this game doesn't turn out like which it did not, but you know, even if they are successful this year, it's definitely it would be a great thing to look back on, like how this season started, losing 40-0 against your arch rival, the Dallas Cowboys, at home. So, I mean, I mean, it's only week 1. I mean,
Right.
end of the day, it's 40-0, but end of the day, it's only 0-1. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, this isn't fantasy football where points tiebreakers come into effect. This is 0-1 record. Doesn't matter how it turned out. There's no committee to turn into playoffs. We know we can still have a great year this year. Just got to forget about this one and move on. But the Aaron Rodgers stuff, the Jets won this game, but I feel like the Bills technically are better off right now, even though they do have a Josh Allen problem,
Sure.
it seems like. But
Right.
Josh Allen, this isn't new. Last year, I think it was probably his worst game he ever had in his career. That's not our Monday night. But we've seen Josh Allen make those stupid throws at least like once a game. And Eli Manning did that for the Giants. And even Daniel Jones, his clone, has done that as well. But Josh Allen, he has these stupid throws. He just did too many of them. Too many mistakes in that game, and it cost him the game. Hopefully that doesn't keep going forward. But definitely not a great start for the Bills in a division that looks pretty tough. I mean, Patriots gave the Eagles a game. The Dolphins can definitely score. And the Jets have a great defense. So it's going to be a tough division, a tough conference. But like I said with the Giants, it's only 0-1. You cannot freak out right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you put it that way because I not to say I didn't think of it in that way, but you bring a good point, right? Not to look too far ahead or anything like to when we make our picks, right? But let's kind of look at it quickly like this, right? The Giants, albeit they go to the West Coast, but they're a 5.5-point favorite on Arizona this week, which, look, came out firing and feisty against Washington, but to be fair, I mean, the Giants, like Washington, should end up handling them in the end, right? In theory, you know. And for the Jets, it's funny, they go to Dallas this week, and that game is tied for the biggest line of the week with Dallas being a 9.5-point favorite at the moment. So, honestly, the game that they're tied with, not to spoil it, but I'll go ahead and say it because it's funny how, Nick, right, it can be full circle moment. The Bills are a 9.5-point favorite on the Raiders. So it's kind of crazy how I guess they all intertwine. But
that's a tough
right.
line right there.
But yeah, you know, and it's one of those things for me, especially on the Josh Allen thing. I've said now a couple different times over, so I don't know if I want to hang myself up too much on this, but I don't know. He's in year 7, I think? No, 6. But
Year 6 already for him?
18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, yeah, year 6. But like I said, I don't want to make it sound like he can't ever improve, right? Because I mean, my own mentality about life in general, right, is this one constant improvement type thing. But eventually, that veteran IQ, quarterback IQ thing, it's either go click or not with him, right? And the fact of the matter is, you bring up a good point. You can go back to last year where all of a sudden these types of games crept up again for him. Like I never count a rookie year for a quarterback in this sense, right? But the year 2 and 3 stuff for him kind of showed up and did show up, obviously, week 1. So I don't know. I don't want to make it sound any more than some Bills fans want to make it doom and gloom. And I also don't want to undersell it either. But, you know, frankly, you know, this game against the Raiders is going to be a big it's a big spot for them, right? Where in theory they should go out and handle business, but it's a Raiders team that I don't think is awful by any means, you know. But either way, we can get to more of that, maybe that game itself when we get to it. But the fact of the matter is, right, Bills are at a crossroads in my opinion, and I don't think it's one of those like if we're sitting here come end of December, beginning of January, right? The way the season is now, and they're sitting at right at 500 more or less, and we're talking to blow it up. I don't think you blow it up, right? But I do think you'll have to take a long look in the mirror potentially if we get to that point. And this first month will show it for the Bills, I think. You know, do you move on from some of this base? Like, I don't think you get rid of Josh Allen. You know, I trust.
Whoa.
No, let me explain, right? I don't think, like, I've lived it, right? Because eventually there's always going to be the talking point of, like, oh, you have to get rid of the quarterback. Trust me. No, you don't. There's nothing wrong with Kirk Cousins. As a Washington fan, believe me on that.
You like him?
Right. Yeah.
You like that?
Huh? I like Dak?
You like that?
Oh, yes, I do. I like that. But what I'm getting at, though, is, right, is like, sure, if push came to shove, let him go, and, like, you're just going to be back with cycling through your Trent Edwards or your J.P. Lossmans for the next handful of years. More than that, right? And obviously it's not going to happen, but, like, that's obviously where the discourse goes. Like, it's always funny to me how, bring up Dallas, for example. Like, it's always funny to me how, like, pundits and, like, fans of the team think that you can improve on Dak. Like, let Dak go, and congrats. You'll have one good game of Cooper Rush like you did last year, and that's it. Because you want to know why? Dak may not be an all-time great. He may not even be great for this NFL, but he's a heck of a lot better than the other 99% of quarterbacks out there. I can tell you that much. Mm-hmm. You know. And it's the same thing with most of these quarterbacks in this league, right? Like, I talk about the Giants. Right? Think about the amount of people that we know, Nick, who are Giants fans as well, who are just like, bench Daniel Jones. It's like, no, you don't do that.
Put in Tyrod.
Right. But, like, it's one of those things where it's like, come on. You know. Either way. The Rodgers injury, talk about that for a deeper second here. And it's crazy because, like, not to say it affects the future too much either, right? But the Jets have to give up that second-round pick now to the Packer. It's crazy, the kind of ramifications from this. I don't want to go too far down the line, but, like, we know what Achilles injuries do to quote-unquote younger players, right? Rodgers certainly isn't young. Like, I don't want to be morbid about it, but, like, there is a real possibility that, like, that's it for him in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it'll actually happen that way, but, I mean, think about it. And obviously it's two different sports to this degree, right? But, like, it took Kevin Durant a while to get back to even, like, say the type of player he was before his Achilles injury. Same thing, like, Kobe Bryant was never the same, and obviously I know basketball to football is completely different, whether it's motions to even actions or anything like that, right? But, like, those are, like, Kobe was at the tail end, but, like, certainly not where, like, Rodgers is. But, like, those were guys, like, in the prime, like, for sure in their prime, who were altered by it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think this is the end of Rodgers. I think he will come back. Will he be the same? He's not even the same right now when he was
That's
healthy.
true. That's, yeah.
So, I mean, he's a 40-year-old quarterback.
39.
He's coming off the worst year of his career. Yeah, he had the finger injury or whatever he had. But, he's coming off the worst year of his career. And obviously this might be the worst year of his career. I mean, what was he, 0 for 3? Or
Well,
did he have one pass?
that'd be like saying that I guess 07 would be Tom Brady's worst year of his career as well then,
It
right?
was. It was. Matt Castle had to come and save his stuff. But, yeah, I don't think he's done. I think he'll be back sometime next year. Give it one last, I say one last, but it's like, give it one go with the Jets. I think he owes the Jets at least that. I mean, it might be the final few games of next season. The Jets got to build their identity first. I mean, right now they're still the 7-10 Jets, and that is literally what I look at them right now. They have to prove that this defense is legit. They did that in Week 1. They have to prove that their running game is legit. I think they did that in Week 1. I'm not totally sold on Garrett Wilson yet. I know he's young, but I know he's talented. But they got to prove themselves. I mean, this is a year to create their identity, and next year when Rodgers comes back, they can potentially make a push for that Super Bowl, which is crazy to think with the Jets. But it's still the Jets. The Jets, Mets, and Nets are never going to win anything. So I think in my entire lifetime they will never win. I want to bet.
No. You were the king to really peel back an onion here. This is technically before I got we were what? I think maybe as a collective podcast, we were what, 2 episodes in, I think, at this point, when a 16 seed finally beat a number 1 seed.
Yep.
And you, for the longest time, were banging the drum like, we would never see it in our lifetime. I would bet my life on it.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if the podcast was where it is even now type scenario for you to say that? And you just said what I think you said? You're crazy. You're crazy. One of those teams will win eventually.
But the Mets, Jets, and Nets
I guess.
win what? They got to switch sports. They're not going to win their sport. I mean, the Mets are never going to win the World Series. I mean, the Jets are never going to win the Super Bowl. Obviously, I think the Jets got the best shot. The Nets are definitely not going to win. And even though maybe the Nets do have the best shot. Because I never thought the Raptors would win. I never thought the Bucks would win.
Jesus.
I never thought the Warriors would win. I damn sure didn't think the Nuggets were going to win. And they all won. So who knows? Maybe the Nets can win one.
Yeah.
No, sprinkle a little Knicks championship in there as well.
I was about to say, don't forget your boys right there. But
the Mets, absolutely not.
You're off the rails here. You're keeping it going.
The Jets and Nets have a shot, but the Mets? Are you kidding me? The Mets? No. The Mets are never going to win anything. And they shouldn't even been in that 2015 World Series. That should have been us. Should have been Pittsburgh, baby.
Oh, boy.
That should have been us. We won 98 games, way more than the Mets won that year. The Mets shouldn't even been in the playoffs. They're lucky to play in a weak NL East that year.
You good?
Yeah. The Mets?
Nope.
Don't bring up the Mets winning a championship ever again to me.
Fair enough. Let's move on to a different city then and different
They
times.
lost the Royals.
Okay. Do you want me to go? You good? You good over there? All right. Fair
The
enough.
Royals, Paul.
Jesus. Let's talk about a couple other games that were specifically, obviously Thursday night, get the season going. Kansas City, Detroit. I think you were a little bit more leaning Detroit than I was, but we both ended up going Kansas City in that game, and we were both wrong. But what a way, I guess, to kick off the 2023 season.
That was a great game.
I personally, it's kind of crazy because like the more I thought this out through the weekend, it's like, yeah, I still feel quote unquote confident with my pick with Kansas City out of the AFC, but is it more to do with like I just need to see them actually get knocked off at this point, like for a full season, than I do more than anything else? I think that might be the case because I'll tell you what, without Kelsey out there, and I'm not trying to make it sound like this is all just because Kadarius Toney dropped a pass, or multiple in this case, but dropped the pass, but like. Mahomes doesn't have a ton of weapons to go to especially without Kelsey, right? And that's what has me worried. I mean, they're going against, look at this week, they're going against a very good Jacksonville team, a team that I think a lot of people kind of circled as like that dark horse type team this year in a way, even though I don't really think they are in the traditional sense. But, that game obviously piqued my attention a little bit. I thought, frankly, I think a lot of people are overreacting a little bit to the Cincinnati loss to Cleveland, the way it fully went down. I attribute some of it to the rain, but that being said, I think if it was still a dry condition type game, I still think Cleveland probably wins it. I think it's a little bit closer, but Cincy didn't really do anything to wow me in that game necessarily.
We got that game. Our records are still terrible.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, I wouldn't say terrible. We'll get to that in a second. Don't worry. Yeah, I mean, even then, we didn't talk about maybe the game as a whole, but, like, the Bills and the Jets, overtime, walk-off punt return, like, there were a number of games that kind of, I'd say a lot of people probably got their attention peaked a little bit more than usual. For any of those games also for you, were there any other games that kind of perked your attention through the weekend?
The Rams are back.
Well, that game, yeah. Forgot about that game.
You were over at the house. I think we had the Falcons-Panthers game on way too much.
Yes. Yes.
I don't ever want to watch a Falcons-Panthers game again. We watched that game way too much. And that game was terrible. But, I mean, I mean, I think I already mentioned this a little bit. The Patriots a little bit, giving the Eagles a game. I mean, Eagles go out, storm out to a big lead, but the Patriots fight back. I think they got within 4, had a shot late to take the lead. Guy couldn't keep his foot in bound there. I think that was a decent game. I mean, I say the Rams, but that game really wasn't. That was probably the worst second half the Seahawks ever played in their entire franchise.
It's up there.
They just couldn't get the ball back. When they got the ball, it was 3 and out, and they were done. It was just literally nothing in that second half. Went right for the Seahawks. But just thinking over the games, I mean, I liked that it was like the schedule of it. I liked it was like 8 games at 1 o'clock and it was 6 games at 4. But let's get those 4 or 5 games in there. They were all 4:25. I want the 4:05.
I think that was just a week 1 thing because now it's back to this week. They're the split up of the 4 o'clock window. So
it was good for Washington to get the win. I thought that was pretty cool. First game without their owner, their beloved.
No. I don't know what you're talking about. Our owner was there. Josh Harris was there. Screw you, Nick.
Yeah, you guys are gonna miss Dan Snyder.
No, we won't.
Yeah, I mean, the night games were not good for New York teams. But the first night game was awesome, the Lions. But, yeah, I thought it was a great week overall. I mean, that's the NFL. I mean, expect the best. I mean, it's the best sport for a reason.
Yeah. So, I guess we can get into the picks and predictions then for the week. I guess we can jump right into that then.
What was the record? What was our record?
So, I was 7
I call it terrible.
I was 7-9. I consider that terrible. But you, Nick, you were 8-8. You get the week. You get the jump out of the week here.
1 game lead. Got another 16 games this week.
Yep.
I got to do better than 8-8. That was pretty bad.
I don't consider it that bad. So, game 1 then, Nick. Minnesota at Philly on Thursday night. Obviously, for our picks, I give you the spreads just as a courtesy type thing, but we pick and win or lose on the straight up. So, Nick, Philly hosting the Vikings, 7-point favorites at home.
I'm trying to win this game, so I'm going to go with Philadelphia.
Okay. I as well am going with the Eagles. All right. So to kick things off on Sunday, our 1 p.m. window of games.
A few more weeks till 9:30 a.m.
Yep, that's true. Green Bay at the Falcons. The Falcons are getting a 1.5 at home.
Well, this is the battle of the undefeateds.
Battle of the Favre teams.
Yeah. Green Bay looks decent, but I'm gonna go with Atlanta here.
Really?
I'm gonna go with Atlanta.
I'm going Green Bay. Yeah.
Why?
Wow, this early.
Yeah, we'll throw it out there. Why? What makes you think they're gonna go into Atlanta?
Atlanta didn't impress me, and obviously we saw a lot of that game. But yeah, Green Bay, especially if Jones is gonna be healthy. Oh man, they were moving at a really good clip. I like them. I like them over Atlanta. Atlanta did nothing.
For Atlanta.
Atlanta did
Robinson
nothing.
or the Algier guy.
Well, that's interesting. Especially Cordero going to be available for week 2 too. I don't know, but I don't know.
At home, I like Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, on the road, I like Green Bay. Vegas at Buffalo. Buffalo, as I mentioned, they're tied for the week highest spread this game of 9.5. Buffalo 9.5 at home. I'm taking Buffalo over the Raiders.
I'm taking Buffalo, but I don't like the 9.5.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely will be a tough one. Baltimore at Cincinnati, Nick. Cincinnati a 3.5-point favorite.
At Cincinnati, I like Cincinnati to bounce back, take the Bengals.
I do as well. Baltimore, you want to talk about a game last week, Baltimore and Houston, that was ugly, and I was not impressed with either team, especially Baltimore. Because
Houston. You weren't impressed with Houston?
Well,
they're gonna have a great season.
I guess that's beside the point. But Baltimore did not look good.
No.
I thought did not.
But Zay Flowers actually looked pretty good.
Sure.
He had a pretty decent game for no touchdowns. I thought he looked good.
Yeah, they're going to need, again, J.K. Dobbins in the surprise turn of events.
Is hurt. I feel like he gets hurt week 1 every year.
So, all right, Seattle at Detroit. Detroit 5.5-point favorites. I feel like that's a lot of points, nonetheless, in this game, but I gotta give a slight edge to Detroit here. I think that's why I'm going Detroit. First home game. They traveled, by the way, really well, obviously, to Kansas City, but I'm gonna go Detroit here. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle did win, but I gotta go. I gotta go with Man Campbell.
Seattle's defense is dreadful right now.
Yeah.
But I like not much more of a Seahawks bounce back game. I like a hangover Lions game going Seattle.
Oh wow. We already have. Let's see. Oh, we already have two differences, which we can't be said. You good over there?
Yes.
All right. Anyway, next game, Indianapolis at Houston. Houston getting 1 point at home. I don't know what to make of this game. I do not want. I hate that we have to pick it in this sense, but I'm just going Houston here because battle of rookie quarterbacks and the home team. I'll go Houston, even though I'm not. I don't know what to make of this game. I just
First
don't.
thing that came to my mind when you mentioned this game is, why aren't the Pacers Indianapolis? Why are they Indiana? Why are they the state
They're for the state.
and not the city?
I don't know.
That's all I care about in this game.
Indiana's home of basketball, boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Colts. I think
Wow.
Richardson's gonna get his first win. In that conference, it's gonna be very tough for Houston to find a W.
I tell you what, we might be having a shift in the pick dynamic
You're going
here.
Houston in this.
I'm going Houston, yeah. But I tell you what, Nick, I think we might be veering from each other for a few more games here coming up. Like this one, Kansas City at Jacksonville. Jacksonville getting 3 at home.
You are not taking Jackson.
I am taking Jacksonville.
Oh my
I am all in on the Jags.
Water early.
I am. Look,
0-2.
the Jet.
You out of your mind?
I firmly believe.
Jacksonville didn't look great last week.
But Jacksonville is at least healthy. You can't say the same about the Chiefs. Their number one target's out, well, more than likely out with Kelsey as it stands right now.
Chris Jones is back.
Neat. Cool. Can he catch a pass? No. Jacksonville's healthy. They're firing all cylinders. I'm taking the Jags.
Tony tried. Going Chiefs in this game because I'm smart.
No. All right, smarty pants. Chicago at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay a 3-point home favorite.
I like Chicago in this game.
Really?
Yes.
But why?
I can't see Baker Mayfield going 2-0. I like Baker Mayfield to help my fantasy team with Mike Evans, but not enough to go 2-0. Chicago, Justin Fields, I think he's probably already had a breakout game, but I think this could be a breakout game where he just goes nuts. It could be like the top fantasy guy this week, run with his legs. I like Justin Fields and the Bears this week.
Tampa Bay. Are you kidding me?
Are you?
I'm taking Tampa Bay.
Oh, don't turn this
Yeah,
on.
no, I will turn it on
Like,
you.
picky.
You were just you came in like ready to not bash the Bears, but you go up and you expect Detroit to have a hangover or something like
It's
that.
matchups, Paul. I don't like the Bears overall, but I like them against Tampa Bay.
You are a sicko.
Don't turn this on me like me picking the Bears is like picking the Chiefs.
Whatever. You did pick the Devils to win the Stanley Cup a couple of years ago. Less in the 1 o'clock window. Chargers at the Titans. The Titans a 3-point home dog. I'm taking the Chargers here, by the way.
Is Vrabel on the hot seat?
No. He's too good of a coach.
Chargers had a great week, but Paul, I think we're going opposite here.
Again.
I like Tennessee in this
Wow.
game. I really do. I like Tennessee. I think Derrick Henry's going to have a good game. Titans need it. Did you say Vrabel's on the hot seat?
No, I don't think he's on the hot seat.
I think he could be.
What?
Chargers defense did not impress me, so I like the Titans to win this one.
All right, fair enough. Let's go to the 4:05 games here in the 4 o'clock late window. 4:05. There's 2 of them this week. Giants at the Cardinals are first. The Giants, as I mentioned, 5.5-point favorites over the Cardinals. I am taking your G-men over the Cards.
Wait, did you say they're favorites?
Yes,
Like with points?
with point. No, they're
They
favorite.
have to score points.
Oh, correct. Yes.
Well, I hope they do score points this week. But I think they have to win this game, or Tom Coughlin's on the hot seat. Oh wait, no, he's not there anymore. What coach we got?
Brian Dable.
Brian Dable we're running with now.
Pride of Buffalo.
Brian Dable's not on the hot seat, but I got the Giants.
Okay. 49ers at the Rams. 49ers are an 8-point favorite
At the Rams.
at the Rams.
I think this is gonna be a great game, but I got the Niners winning this.
Good man. You're a good man there, Nick. I tell you what. Yeah, I'm taking San Fran as well. All right.
That shot.
It's the studio shot. I mean, you're kind of hidden by the plant, but, we do our best. Dallas hosts the Jets in the 4:25 window. As I already mentioned, Dallas tied with the Raiders-Bills for the biggest spread at 9.5.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna go with Dallas.
Same. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of the Jets, honestly, going forward at this point. So I think that's, at least with Dallas, we know what we kind of got out of them. I think, obviously, 40 points probably is a little bit above their weight collectively, but at least you know what you got. Washington at Denver, also in the 4:25 window. Denver, a 3.5-point favorite at home over
We haven't
the
discussed this.
Commanders.
Sean Payton 0-1,
Yeah.
losing to Josh McDaniels.
And
But
Jimmy
they're-
Garoppolo.
Welcome back to the league. Who they playing? Washington?
Washington.
Let's go Washington. I like Washington
Love it.
in this game.
Same, dude. I was surprised to see the line that big, to be completely
What is it?
honest. 3.5. I'm on Washington
Mile High
here, though.
City.
Yeah, we're fine. Sunday Night Football, Miami at New England. New England's a 2.5-point dog at home.
I like Miami.
Same. Yeah. You think New England punched a little bit above the weight class week 1 there?
Yes, I don't think they're that good.
Yeah,
They
I agreed.
definitely- And Mac Jones actually had a really good game last week.
Tom Brady, the Tom Brady effect.
Mhm.
All right, we have not 1, but 2 Monday Night Football games this week. First, a 7:15 kickoff for the first Monday night game. That is New Orleans at Carolina. Carolina is getting 3 points at home, but I was kind of impressed with the Saints, admittedly, a little bit. Again, maybe I think they kind of fall maybe into the Raiders category collectively, although I think the Saints have a better chance of being better in that sense. But, yeah, I mean, playing Carolina, who I did have some expectation, I think, to be a little bit better than they showed up to being in Atlanta last week. But, yeah, I'm going to go New Orleans here.
I'm going to go New Orleans as well.
All right, and then finally, the second Monday night game, 8:15 kickoff, Cleveland at Pittsburgh. This is the first time since the late 90s, I think, that Cleveland, the mid-90s, Cleveland is the favorite on the road in Pittsburgh for a game.
Yeah.
How about that? By the way, I'm going Cleveland here. Pittsburgh, who I thought was going to be way better than they at least showed up to be, were bad. I think they're a little bit on the back foot right now. Cleveland, I think, has got a little bit of that better juju going, kind of post beating the Bengals. I think they do beat Pittsburgh.
As much as Pittsburgh got beat up by the Niners last week, I think this is a toss-up. But my coin's gonna flip on the Steelers here. I think Kenny Pickett's got a lot to prove this week. Not a lot to prove for like his whole career. When I say it's not, this isn't his career on the line here. But this is, let's see what the kid's got. And Pickens, Deontay Johnson's out. You got Pickens. You got Najee. Let's see if they can get this. And I believe in Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's gonna get that team at least 500 because he's never gone under 500. So I like the Steelers.
So there will definitely be some sort of pick shift in our things this week.
We know I'm going to get a point on that Kansas City one. Like, come on.
Well, there are 7 games up for grabs this week.
We had like
Because
5 last week.
Yep. So, how about that?
Oh,
Well, potentially. There potentially could be, right? I mean, obviously, certain ones cancel each other out. So, all right. Let's spend a couple minutes here before we get out of here talking some college football. Certainly, week 2 of college football proved to be chaotic. Bama losing to Texas, obviously, I know grabs a lot of headlines. Same with Colorado, so we'll talk about those quickly as well. But it ended up being a bit chaotic, like I mentioned. I mean, Utah had to go pretty much running some sort of variant of the Wildcat to beat a, frankly, bad Baylor team. Oregon and Texas Tech had a Wild West shootout more or less Saturday night. And like I said, it kind of all circles back to that. I mean, there's a lot of, I think, overreaction on Bama at this point. A lot of people are already doing the claim of, well, they're done. Their dynasty over. Which I'm like, chill. Chill for a second here. It's one game.
Especially college football, you could bounce back after a week alone.
Right. But, where I do think there's might be some concern, and this is why I have concern, too, with, say, Clemson. I put Clemson in here as well. You want to go back to last year? Neither of them finished great last year. Neither of them have really come out the gate good this year, in all honesty. Could be an interesting year, I think, for the SEC and, for Bama, maybe not the SEC. Well, the SEC could be in some trouble. They went from looking like maybe having 2 playoff teams to maybe only having 1. And that depends an awful lot on Georgia at this point because their non-conference sucks, let alone their in-league schedule this year, which, who knows, right? The SEC is still, if you don't want to consider outright number 1, is tied for number 1 football-wise. And, their in League One this year is not good either. I mean, it will probably be until the SEC championship game in December before they see whether it's Alabama or LSU or somebody like that, before they see a really good opponent in that way. But kind of getting a little bit off topic from, I guess, the game itself between Bama and Texas. So I think what's good, and I'm not willing to stake the whole Texas is back thing just yet.
Yeah, calm down. Remember when they beat Notre Dame week 1?
Right. But where I do kind of lean into maybe taking a little bit of the Kool-Aid is it is admittedly somewhat good when a team like Texas is getting back to being good, right? We're kind of seeing it with USC play out. We're seeing it obviously with, like I mentioned, with Texas playing out, where we still have Bama as being good. We still have kind of Clemson as being good. Obviously Georgia. You would hope Florida kind of gets back to this maybe to a degree as well. But Ohio State, Michigan, right? Not to say, the traditional powers are good here, right? Notre Dame. But when you have these large fan bases kind of just going at each other, that's what honestly makes college football really, really fun. I think we're kind of nearing that point. Maybe this game between Bama and Texas kind of showed it kind of firsthand at maybe chapter 1 of the, I wouldn't say rebirth, but, the new cycle of really good college football moments.
Yeah, I think when I think of last week's college football, and obviously Syracuse just beating the crap out of Western Michigan was a great one.
Yeah.
But
by the way, the only news out there is crap. The Orange might be without Rondé Gadsden here for a little bit, but yeah, I mean that was a drubbing. That was a bad drubbing.
When I also think of week 2 of college football, which I can't believe it's week 3 already. I felt like we just started week 0, but is what happened to Stanford. USC, and I watched Caleb Williams play for the first time this year. Mm-hmm. I had not seen his first game, but I saw him this week. And the man's legit. I honestly think Caleb Williams, I know this is crazy, but I think he plays like Patrick Mahomes just watching him play. The way he can move, the way he throws, he shouldn't be playing college football. He's that good. And he should be in the pros right now, but right now he's in college, and I know Stanford is pretty terrible right now, but he dominated them last week. And so that was impressive. Colorado continues to win.
I don't know what to fully make of them.
Are we buying them for Final Four?
No. I'm not. Now,
I mean,
I'm probably going to have to say I am wrong here. I didn't think they'd get to
Do they
3
have to play
wins.
UFC?
Yes.
They do.
Yeah.
Is it later?
Yes. No. Well, I think October, but yeah. I mean, it's enough down the road.
That could be
But-
a great game.
I think they're on path now to obviously get to a bowl game, but I don't. The amount of people, and this is where I need people to understand to pump the brakes. I'm not trying to be, as Dion would say, a hater or non-believer or anything like that, right? But like, his son Shadir, there's a reason why. Frankly, he could have just had some bad camps and bad stretches of games when the scouts and stuff were there. But like, there's a reason he ended up at Jackson State in the first place, and I can tell you this: it wasn't because his dad was the head coach there. Now, Travis Hunter ended up there because Dion was the head coach there. Travis Hunter was supposed to go to Florida State. And then Dion got the head coaching job at Jackson and was able to collectively pool up enough money via NIL to get Travis Hunter to Jackson State. Like, Travis Hunter's the real deal, okay? But on some of the rest of these players here, let's pump the brakes a little bit here. The TCU one, definitely, like, that's a win. Okay, at the end of that's going to be a win. TCU, admittedly, probably is not going to be anywhere near where they were last year, but that's a win. That's a credible win. Nebraska's not a credible win this year. They just aren't. It's a rebuilding.
Rule?
It's a rebuilding year. Matt Rule. It doesn't matter his stops, whether it was Temple to Baylor. His first year there was the rebuild year for him, and then you had your first bowl week, bowl experience the year after. And then, especially in the case of obviously Baylor, you were New Year's Six pretty much, and that was it. Then they just did not. They didn't hit the portal right. He's probably going to have a new offensive coordinator that he's going to need to hire this next offseason because the one that they got's not great. But Nebraska's at a much different point than TCU is what I'm getting at, right? So, and there's a lot of hype around this game of Colorado State this week. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but in theory, Colorado should handle Colorado State pretty good. And I know it's a rivalry game and everything like that, but the fact that, and look, it's not a great week of college football games, so I kind of understand maybe some logic to say, I know like game day and big noon kickoff are both going to Colorado, but like for the first time in
They're both going to Colorado.
Yeah, for the
Colorado State.
But you have for the first time in a while, and this is one of the games I'm as my picks, not to foreshadow too much, but you have the backyard brawl this weekend in West Virginia. I know Pitt, West Virginia, or near one of them are going to be great this year, but you have that. I mean, LSU, Mississippi State, another game that's in my pick window. Like that would be a really good game to go to probably as well if you're a game day or obviously. Fox isn't going there. I think Fox even has the Colorado game anyway. So, or no, they don't. ESPN does. The Fox one is the one that baffled me because they were also at the Colorado-Nebraska game.
Yeah, they were just there.
So they're just chasing, and you gotta do what you gotta do. But like, it's one of those things where it's like God. But to me, this would have been a week for whatever. I mean, a game that I will be picking here is James Madison at Troy, and I get that Sunbelt. But that's two of the top Sunbelt teams going at it. Like, it's very possible that we're talking about James Madison versus Troy for the Sun Belt title game, even, potentially. Like, it's whatever, though. Like I said, it's a rough week of college football, so I don't think they really had much.
Colorado State.
What I'm saying is, though, like,
Yeah, I agree with
this is a Colorado team that I think ends up at maybe like 8-4, 7-5 type stuff. And I'm not afraid to admit that I'm wrong because I thought they'd be like 3-9 or 10 or 2-10.
Really?
Like, but hey, it is what it is, right? I just don't think that this win against Nebraska is a feather in the hat type win. Either way, I don't know. Notre Dame, I wouldn't say you survived NC State, but you at least survived the weather.
Yeah, it was a good thing because my sister lives down there in Raleigh, as you know.
I tell you what, and for those who don't know, I vacationed through North Carolina, Virginia and North Carolina a couple weeks ago. And I'll tell you what, I had to deal with. Now, I didn't have to deal with the thunderstorm element of it. But I tell you what, when it rains down there, it rains. Yeah. Like, it's nuts. And obviously, in the case of this past weekend, it was nasty. Like, nasty.
My parents were just down there for Labor Day. Good thing they didn't think about sticking around a week later to watch this game because it would have been an awful.
Was that on the table?
No, it was never on the table. But it could have been an idea. Good thing they didn't go, though, because That would have been an awful game to sit through. Just, the delay and everything. The condensed halftime, which, they condensed the halftime from 20 minutes to 15 minutes. But, yeah, it was just nice to play someone who's actually in a Power 5 conference. I don't know what type of season NC State's going to have this year, but it's a road game. I say this in college basketball, and I'll say this in college football as well. Any road game, true road game in college sports is going to be tough. It doesn't matter what the team is.
Yeah.
It's always tough to go into someone else's place and beat them, and NC State's been decent of late, and so it's just nice to play some. Notre Dame offense took a little bit to get going, but Sam Hartman, he was actually 1-2 all time against NC State coming into this game.
Yeah.
So it was a team that had his number. So it was nice to get a nice win like that. Season goes on. Ohio State's coming up here in a couple weeks, so getting ready for that.
Would be remiss before we get to my picks. Michigan State begins the year without Mel Tucker now, with all his allegations going on, and I got to say, for the sake of you, Mel, I would have not said the statement that I said after I got suspended. That does not help your case.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the way it looks, we might have some Mark D'Antonio action back here a little bit. But, I mean, and it's funny because I'm on Twitter right now because
It's X.
my bad.
But
there are a couple interesting matchups as well here that I don't have on the slate. But like Washington and Michigan State, that'll be an interesting game. Tennessee's at Florida. Penn State at Illinois. If Illinois looked any better against Kansas, I'd be more excited about that matchup. But they just did not look great against Kansas. I did pick Kansas, by the way.
Undefeated Kansas,
Right.
Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina.
Right. North Carolina's hosting Minnesota this week, so there are a few good games out there, but none of them are great. So, Nick, are you ready? 4-1 last week for me for my picks. 10-7 now.
5 every week, or
5 every week now. I just said 7 the first week because there was just 7 games. I'm not just going to leave 2 games off the docket like that.
So what's your record overall?
So I'm 10-7 overall. 4-1 last week. My picks for the week: LSU at Mississippi State, taking LSU. They are -9.5. Taking Vanderbilt at UNLV. Vanderbilt 4-point favorite. Taking James Madison on the road at Troy. Imagine that game. James Madison, though, getting 3 points. So that one's probably the shakier of the 5, in my opinion, to be honest. I am picking the backyard brawl. Pitt at West Virginia. Neither of these teams have looked great so far. That being said, I'm going to go with West Virginia at home there. Technically a home dog, getting 1 point. But give me WVU. And to tag along to that, shout out to an old rivalry because this is my 5th game that I'm picking of the week. And for the first time this year, it's a Syracuse game. Syracuse at Purdue. I'm taking Syracuse minus the 2.5 against Purdue. So,
Interesting.
how about that?
You like that?
Right. So a little West Virginia-Syracuse action battle for the Ben Schwarzwälder Trophy, but not really since I need them together for my picks for the week.
They're going to Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Purdue? I know it's Indiana, but where?
It is in.
Interesting question. Where is Purdue?
Is it East Lafayette? West Lafayette. West Lafayette, Indiana.
Interesting. The Boilermakers.
Not the drink.
Yeah, I think Syracuse should win that game. Shout out my friend Josh Langley. That's his team, Purdue Boilermakers.
Yeah, he's going down this week.
He's also a Jets fan.
Yeah. Forgot about that portion of events.
Yeah, so Syracuse, this would put them at what? 3-4-0? 3-0?
It's Plymouth 3-0.
And then they got one more game before Clemson.
Home against Army before Clemson comes to the Dome.
You're going to the Army game.
I'm not.
Ah.
I'll be out of town. I'm very upset I'm missing that one, actually, because I've always wanted to see a Service Academy game in person. Even on the road, there's some pomp and circumstance to it. So I'm upset that I'm missing that one. But
You are going to the Clemson one.
I'm not going to the Clemson one either because I will be out of town for that one as well.
So I'm a season ticket holder.
Well, stuff happens. But, the Clemson game, I'll be in Cleveland, and I will be at the Ravens-Browns game, actually. So, weird.
Yeah, it's a better game, I guess.
Nah.
I don't know. But, yeah, should be a good week.
Mm-hmm.
Week 3, middle September. Love this time of year.
All right, so that will do it for Fresh Takes for today. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll be back again next Wednesday. Nick, is there a shout out this week?
Occasionally there's rare episodes where I do not have one, but I do have one today.
Okay.
Shout out, a double shout out.
Double.
We're going double shout
A double shout. A double shot.
Shout out my aunt and uncle, Aunt Molly and Uncle Jay.
That's right.
Going to check out their new house this weekend in Medina.
About to say
Ohio.
you unfortunately. So speaking of Cleveland here, can I interrupt here for a second? It was very funny seeing the reaction of you and Matt learning where Medina actually is in reference to Cleveland.
Yeah, so basically I'm going to Seneca Falls and Cleveland is Victor.
Well, Medina's a little bit bigger than that, but okay.
The distance wise.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about 40 minutes out, but
It's like
Yeah.
going to Eastview.
yeah, they got a new house, new crib there, so checking it out. And Molly, Uncle Jay, shout out. Not sure what we're gonna do yet. The Texas Rangers are in town, so
You never know.
check that game out on Saturday. Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Oh, so they were I see how you did the double shout out there then.
Yes.
Clever.
The Mets will not win a World Series
You just,
in my lifetime.
you just are not letting it go. Oh my God. So on that note, I think I will wrap this up for us. Appreciate everybody for watching or listening. We'll be back again next Wednesday. Till then, enjoy the week, everybody. We'll talk with everybody then.